Hello. Welcome. Take a quick minute here to connect and center and be here. Acknowledge the fact that we're here together and we will be here together and we are always here together, but now on a conscious level. Just to know that over thousands of kilometers or inside our own skin, there is. There's being, and there's being together, which is being. The essence of being is never alone. The essence of being is just pure connection, which isn't even connection because there's no parts to be connected anymore, right? But we're using words, and words are, by definition, fragmentations and representations. So we're going to use these fragmentations and representations to try and point the way to and experience unity and union. So the interesting thing about being is that it leads us directly into love, which is the topic for today. We're going to talk about love. It's it's something that we as a culture and as a society and as individuals talk about constantly. And we're not really talking about the same thing. We are by consensus talking about the same thing, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. So I guess we could start by saying what we're not going to talk about, which also holds the word love. We're not talking about romantic love. We're not talking about personal love, although these expressions can contain what it is we are going to talk about, or that we are talking about. And what we are talking about, love is being. Okay, nothing left to say. Love is being. Love is being. Love is being. It's not an action. Although the romantic love and the personal love and these expressions, if they carry the essence of real love, then these doings are expressions of the state of love. But love is not a doing. I love you, she, it, them. Love is a state of being from which loving actions automatically flow. Like being in a state of anger. Angry actions will necessarily flow in expressions. Love is a state of being. Love is unadorned being, meaning the essence of being is love. So an important thing about being rather than doing is that we live in a world of doing. We are trained, conditioned, encultured, socialized to believe that doing is what creates self. I am a mother, I am a father, I am a doctor, I am a sanitation worker, I am unemployed. I am doing, not doing various things. There are states of being like I am male, I am female, but those entail a whole bunch of doings. In other words, the doings that come out of being male, different in Saudi Arabia than they are in Chicago, than they are in Stockholm, right? Or in Zimbabwe. Okay, so love is not that way. Love is not something that has a series of doings that can be interpreted. Love is an absolute thing, meaning it's not relative. Its expression may seem relativistic, but love, the state of love, is not relativistic, nor is it dualistic. It's simply it's the essence of being, which means what is without all of the thinking and the feeling is love. Thinking is a doing. Feeling is also a doing. Love is a being, and loving expression and actions will come from this being. But the actual thing itself, the state of love, is a state. It's a being rather than a doing. And so being is always present, meaning present now, present here, and present well, we're seeking to be present consciously of the state of love, which I guess is the absolute, is the full package. But we needn't be conscious or aware of it, really. If we're in a state of being, a state of love, then the then the awareness or the consciousness of it, it's actually, it's beyond consciousness. I needn't be conscious to have an arm. I have an arm. Love, if the state of love exists, it is present time and it is present here. And as soon as we get into thinking and feeling, we're going to move pretty quickly into things that have happened in the past or things that are going to happen in the future. So, love is not a doing and it is not a condition, which means if we get to the essence, and the picture that comes to me always is a mother suckling a baby. The baby is latched onto the breast and the baby is feeding. The mother is feeding. They're in a state of mutual nurturance. And it's a state of love, which means there's no need that any thinking is just confusion at that point. Any feeling or thinking that flows from that will be loving and feeling, thinking, but it's just extra stuff that happens. It's not the actual state or the essence of love. So, if love is being, simply being, then what blocks love? Why aren't we, if we are and we are? Simple fact, I am, we am, I am, we are. Where's the love? Where's the love? What's happening? Well, being humans, we block love by moving out of the present time, here and now, moving into the future, bringing the past, not being in this space here. Because remember, now is not a series of events. Now is a space. Now is a space in which events happen. Too many events are happening at this very moment. The hundreds and billions and trillions of neutrinos passing through this field of vision here, massless things, the blinking in and out of existence, the insane things that happen on the very small level and on the very big level. These things are not capturable by the mind. We can't catalog these things, and that's what we try to do when we try to stay in the now. We try to capture things and hold them, and so of course change is drastic, is a disaster, because we can't hold things. They're changing and there's too much happening. So much more helpful to think about now as a huge space, meaning eternity, meaning all space. And eternity is always now, meaning the infinity of space as being the place in which now is happening. And in that space, we have our minds. We have these thinking machines. And the thinking machines drag us out of that space of now. And they block our being, the essence of our being, by filling us with notions of what we have to do, what we did wrong, what we did right, what we're going to do, what we're going to do right, what we hope for. A lot of thinking and a lot of feeling, and a tremendous amount of narcissism, self-absorption, the self-reference. Now, if love is the state of being, then love is the state of all being. So that means that love is not this or any other object or being, plant, curtain. These things are manifestations, individuations within the state of being that is love. Now, because we have the ability to be conscious and think, we can actually work with this consciously, which is, I don't know if dolphins can do this or if monkeys can do this, perhaps, but we certainly can. And most beings can't do it the way that we do it, which also brings us to the tree of good and evil, or of knowledge, not good and, but we have the choice of how we use this consciousness to block love or to surrender and be part of this greater whole. So if love is being, meaning the totality of being, love is the totality of being. This is an individuated being that has the capacity, the power, the ability, the magnificent choice of being aware of the totality of being, which is love, which is joy. At the center of the diamond with the many facets, we go into the heart, which contains all the qualities of love, compassion, kindness, beauty. Love is a good word. It's the heart of the diamond. So we're in the heart with our consciousness. And so to be able to have the totality of being within the individuated consciousness means the individuated consciousness, this consciousness, seemingly separate and individuated, can only be in a state of love when it's identified with the totality. Because love is not a partial. If love is not for all and always, meaning here and now, meaning everything in the here and now, which is the space in which everything is happening, then it's, I guess it could be considered partly love. It's like a contradiction, partly love. It can have love-like qualities and be moving towards love. But the state of love is a recognition that the individuated self is simply like one cell. And it's even less than that, right? One cell in this body. And remember, the cells of this body, again, half of them carry my DNA and half of them don't carry my DNA. Half of them are just other creatures symbiotically creating this experience, symbiotically creating that experience. So even what I think is me is not me, even biologically. So to consciously be in a state of love, to invite and to enter and to maintain and to not block the state of love, which is the totality of being, which a lot of people call God, right? What else is God but the totality of being? Except for perhaps the totality of being plus the potentiality of non-being, which is nothing. But for now, we're embodied, so we can just worry about the being part. The non-being part's pretty important as well. But for now, we can talk about the totality of being as love. And if the totality of being is love, and the totality of being is God, then the mathematics tells us that God is love, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. God is love. Okay, what else is there to say? Well, there's always a lot more to say, right? There's always a lot more to say. And there's also moving towards some practical applications, which we'll do a little later to give ourselves some tools and some practice with some ways that we can work on our own, first experience together here, and then later work on our own on uncovering love. Because if love is the totality of being, and we are part of the totality in the sense that the skin cell or the liver cell or the sinus cell is part of this being, then as soon as the sinus cell decides that it's not going to function as part of this whole being, that's called cancer, right? That's called cancer. And that's what we do individually and as a society, as a world. The world is burning. Cancer is a very hot disease. As above, so below, the macrocosm, the microcosm, where cancer is a plague. There's tremendous cancer in the world. And it's relatively new, at least as much, having so much of it is quite a new thing. And that's because we're burning. We're losing our integration. And we're burning with desire and a desire that's separate from the totality of the organism, which for us here on Earth is Earth. Self, Earth, one overall experience, one overall being. So we draw our identities. We draw and create and accept and have conditioned. We have these identities. If our identity is ultimately anything less than everything, meaning I identify as all, meaning here now with no limits. The limits of this being merely the limits of the individual cell wall that exist in this skin cell right here. There's a skin cell there. And that skin cell has cell walls. But if it identifies as a skin cell rather than as a skin cell as part of the overall organism, it has lost its part in the place of love, which creates this greater organism. Again, the greater organism being the totality of being. We are single cells in this. And so, yes, of course, we identify with each person has their mission, their job, their beauty, their diversity, their expression. This is magnificent. At the same time as this happens, there's also the greater identification with the totality, which is other humans, other life, other non-life, the earth. That's a really good beginning identification, the totality of being on earth, because this is a fairly encapsulated experience. But then, being human is not enough. We need to expand that. Allow that to be expanded until there is nothing outside of our identification. And once we have an identification that is without limits, we are in a state of love, because love is unlimited being. Now the challenge is, the challenge is that we are conditioned to be very much doing, future, past, fragmented, cutting, logical. Is it logical? I will give you love because you will give me this. These things are mathematical, it's marketplace thinking, which works when it's time to be in the marketplace. The marketplace has its historical limitations. The fact that we define ourselves as self-centered, competitive and comparative creatures is by definition limiting and non-loving, because we are not including the totality of being, which is you. You are the totality of my being. And I can look at anything. I can look at this red light on the phone. I can look at the wall behind me. If I've cut that out from the totality of my being, then I'm blocking love. And this is our training, is to fragment and be mentally logical, rational, in the sense that we define ourselves as separated, individuated, without that greater totality of being. And all of a sudden we're lonely and alienated, right? And you know it. You know you're lonely and alienated. You know that you don't sleep the way you want to. You don't, your body doesn't, your elimination, your eating, everything about our lives is a struggle just to come to a place where we would naturally, given the proper conditions, live with clean, healthy food, beautiful, healthy, honest relationships, understanding of our place in the relativity of the in the space of the totality of the being, right? Respect for everything and everybody and all life and all non-life, for the earth, for the stars, wonder, gratitude, beauty. What this has all been conditioned out of us. So what we're doing now is we're in the darkness, to be honest about the darkness so that we can transcend the darkness. Otherwise, we're lying to ourselves and we're saying, oh, everything's wonderful, when it's not. When that's just the act that I am presenting to myself and you're presenting to yourself and we present to each other. Let's not play anymore. Let's be honest. What we're seeking is love. What we're seeking is the totality of being. What we're seeking is everything. What we're seeking is home. Home. Just a quiet, joyful place where there's a belonging and integration, and that feeling, the feeling and the thinking that comes from a state of love is calm. It's above circumstances, which means you can be sad. Circumstances can create a sad situation, but there is the essence and the totality and the understanding that transcends that. And we've all had moments like that, but the more we work at this, the more we experience it. So, love. We're all seeking love, and we're all trying to get love, and we're trying to love ourselves. Just yesterday or 2 days ago, I was talking to someone, and she was telling me that we were talking about this kind of thing. She was saying, I need to love myself. And I said, well, no. Yes and no. I mean, you need to be in a state of love, and then the self will be part of that. And she said, well, don't I need to love myself? And I said, well, have you tried to love yourself? And she said, yes. I said, has it worked? And she said, no. Because she was being honest. So when they tell us to love ourselves, that's like saying, well, let's just flap our wings and flap our arms and fly. It's just, it's a disconnect. It's a kind of a greeting card way of trying to get something done that doesn't work that way. Given that we're in states of darkness and confusion, the way for us to reach states of love is to strip away the confusion and the darkness, and to create and to allow, not to create, but to allow and to open to the light that is there. And that light will grow as we do the work that we need to do. And that will automatically create the love that is self-love, because what is self? Love myself. As soon as I've defined myself as this tiny self here, what is there to love? There's a lot that's not lovable here. A lot that's confused. But that's because we're in a state of condition. The love of conditionality. I love myself because I am beautiful and wonderful and smart and It's such an obsession with this little self that it loses the grandeur, it loses the limitless being that is the true love. So I'm so busy trying to love this little self that I've blocked the love that's automatic by identification with the all, with the unlimited being. Unlimited being, which only happens here and now. It's not a doing, it's a being. Now, we don't know how to be. And you know that you don't know how to be because it's so difficult to sit still in silence. That's just the essence of being, and that's why we have to sit still in silence. That's what meditation, honest prayer is talking to this. Meditation is listening to this. I would say talking to this is much less valuable. We can talk to this totality of being, which is love, which is God. Just words. love which is God. That's when we're seeking help and direction. And after we've spoken and asked and told our stories and asked for help and direction, then it's time to enter into the meditative position, which is the receptive, surrendered position, which is the place where being is cultivated. And it's a non-identified being. And two things happen in meditation. At the beginning, we're all seeking peace and wonderful connection, all this stuff. Great. That's the ultimate goal, and that will be the immediate motivation. However, there will be a lot of cleaning that happens in honest meditation, which will be very painful. It's the being with the disconnect and the dysfunction that we've learned and been traumatized and been conditioned that will bring us through. And there's light in the tunnel, as another friend of mine said to me, as she said, and she's right, because the light at the end of the tunnel is heaven, is perfection, undifferentiated bliss, the absolute state of love, being, and connection. However, until we get there, and we have moments of it, but that's when we're in the tunnel, and that's the light in the tunnel. And whether we actually arrive at that final place, here and now, is not really up to us. We do the work, and then that's out of our hands. But the light in the tunnel, which is the experience of the oneness, although it's not final arrival outside of the tunnel. So how we define the definition of self as this little being looking for love, it's like being a homeless child, and you're just looking for someone to hug you and to give you food, without realizing that you're the king, the queen of the universe, with everything inside and internal. But to reach that we need to practice and take the time and do the work of learning to be, practicing the art and the state of being, which is meditation, which is receptivity, which is both the contacting with the greater, with the undifferentiated being, the peace, the love, the God. And it's also honest acknowledgement of all of the chaos and darkness that we still carry with us. And we've been through this before, very briefly. Acknowledge with honesty that it's there. Surrender to it, which means don't fight it, don't argue with it, don't explain it. Be grateful for it if possible, and then prayer, which means ask for help. That's how we deal with that aspect of it. But what we're learning to do on the spiritual path is we're learning to be. Now, the baby that we started with on the breast, and the mother, to the extent that she's in that experience, the two of these beings in that moment are purely being, and that's love. They're in a state of being, mutual nurturance. There is no conflict, there is no other. There is only one experience that they're sharing. Now, we're all sharing all experiences to the extent that we open our consciousnesses and identify with that greater sharing. And in that state of greater sharing of unlimited being, it's no longer sharing, it just is. Who's sharing what with who? There's no who anymore. There's no what, there's no you, there's no me. There is only experience. And this individuated being, as a human, individuated being, human, has the capacity, in fact the duty, the responsibility to come to the place where we are in a state of unlimited being, which is love. And again, love is joy, is peace, stability, responsibility, beauty, creativity, service, bliss. All those things that we really seek, even when we're bringing the Fruit Loops to our mouth, or we're drinking the scotch, or whatever it is that we're doing, smoking the crack, whatever it is we're doing that's going in the other direction seemingly. Still, the motivation is we're looking for this connection, for this unlimited being. That's why drugs and sex are so popular. Power, fame, attention. These things, extreme activities, bring us out of ourselves for a second so that we have this experience of unlimited being. Unfortunately, it's we're going at it through the ego, through the individuated, by glorification of this individuated self, and we end up lower at the end of the experience than we started. So what we're doing here is we're going at it through the soul, the spirit, the expanse of openness, honesty, courage, humility, cultivating the art of being, so that when we reach this state of undifferentiated, of unlimited being, there's no downside to it. There's only more buoyancy, more space, greater identification with the unlimited being, which is love. And from that state, when you're in that state, when you're close to it or you're near that, you you have empathy. Empathy meaning you can feel both the difficulties and the glory, the most tragic circumstance. You can still see the glory of that being. It's not just the difficulty and the, oh, I hurt so much for you. It's the, wow, you're glorious, even in all this suffering and difficulty. Love feels really good, right? And so all of these knockoffs of love, romance, not that romance can have real love in it. It can partake of the unlimited being. Personal love, all these things, to the extent that they partake of the real love, then but mostly these are things where what we're involved in is a business, a negotiation, which is not love at all. A negotiation is, what can I get from you and what do I have to give to you in exchange? Love does not work that way. Love is the exact opposite of every rule that we think applies on this earth. First of all, it's unchanging. Love can't change. How can the totality of being, the manifestations can change, but the actual totality, the totality is the totality. It's everything. So when we have these conditioned exchanges, we're not in a state of love. We're in a state of bargaining, a state of a state of identifying ourselves as opposed to, in competition with, at odds with the rest of the totality. So I'm trying to get love, and someone else is in competition for that same love. There's only so much love. There's only so much time. There's only so much, I need to get some love. That's nuts. It's like my skin cell saying, I need to get some Anthony. It's just, I need to get some of it is this. It doesn't need to get anything. It just needs to be a skin cell and chill out. Be a skin cell. Be a heart cell. Be a toenail. Be whatever it is. Be a cell. Just be. The cell that's integrated and that identifies as the whole body, the unlimited, that has no need to seek anything. It will receive the totality of the energy, especially individuated human consciousness, carrying the ability. Within your being, you have the ability, again, the duty and the responsibility to open to unlimited self, to the beauty and the truth and the unlimited, to the love, to God. God is not a separate thing. Love is not a separate thing. You don't talk to God. You're simply at the essence. If there's true prayer, all you're doing is just acknowledging the fact that this individuated human has the capacity to be an expression and a channel for the totality, which is God. That's why you are God's daughter. You are God's son. And there's only one son, one daughter. There's only one totality. And so we split it up into, because of the fragmentation of the rational mind, right? The mind that's not connected to the heart and soul. We think of ourselves as separate from God. That is an impossibility. Separate from love, which is, from the definition we're using, the totality of being, if love is the totality of being, which is God, how can you be separate? How can you be other than that totality? All that you are is the magnificent capacity to be conscious of it. Wow. And in that capacity to be conscious of it is the capacity to choose, which is the capacity to not be conscious of it, which is really painful, which is where we're living on this earth, in the non-recognition of the totality of our essence, of our being. So any condition on love is a limitation on love, which is a limitation on the totality, which is a limitation on God. Think about it. If God is defined as the unlimited, as love, as the totality of being, how can there be a condition on that? Any condition on that has to be part of the totality. You can't have anything outside of everything. It's all in the everything. And so where are we identifying? We are identifying as this skin bag that needs something in competition with other skin bags and in competition with the dog and the cat and the earth itself. Let me get my oxygen. Let me get my water. Let me get my food. Let me get my love. Well, look at the earth. What's happening? Where are we at? We're not doing very well with that psychology, with that limited view of love. How many broken hearts are we all suffering? How much even in the best of love relationships are we pretending and ignoring? How much in our relationship with ourself is fragmented, alienated, and full of lies and deception? Let's just be honest. The honesty opens the door for light. Honesty is what's necessary for truth, and truth is light. And truth will set us free because light will dispel darkness. That is the nature of light. And light is just love. Just more words for what's at the heart of the diamond, the heart. In through any facet, honesty, compassion, beauty, kindness, you get to the heart where all the qualities, the love, the compassion, the kindness, the beauty, the creativity, the service, they all meld into one experience. And in that experience, the being that is in that experience, at the heart of the diamond, the heart of all these, where all these qualities have collapsed into one consciousness, that is a happy, joyful, productive, absolutely nurturing human being to him or herself and to all those around them and to the globe, to the planet, to God, him or herself, itself. So here's where we're at. What we're doing is we are acknowledging what it is that we fundamentally are, which is the totality of being, which is a redefinition. And what we're going to do in a minute or two, 5 minutes, it's very soon, we're going to do some meditation and we're going to redefine, we're going to experience the totality of being and the beauty of that, the love. We're going to experience love. And in the experience of love, we will come back with either we've done this work before and it's just a deepening of it, or we haven't done it and we come back with the potential, the possibility, the understanding that this is actually attainable. It's not just the enlightened masters and these fantastic angelic beings and all. It's you. It's you. It's you. It's you. It's you. It's this. The infinite capacity of our being. To be in a state of love, self-nurturance, non-contradiction. The totality of being cannot have contradictions. It cannot have all these problems within itself, all this darkness and dispel and confusion and conflict. On the material, on the earthly level, the embodied level, there will be conflict, but it doesn't mean that we are beings, that our identification is conflict. It's simply that at times I hit my elbow, I burn my elbow. Well, right there, I burned it. What? What does that mean? It's got nothing to do with who I am or my joy or my state of love. Okay. So to be in a safe place, meaning no distractions, no ovens are on, no driving cars, no machinery, just let's take 3 deep breaths. We're going to breathe in deeply through our noses and then much more slowly out through our mouths. Each time out through the mouth is a release of whatever tensions and feelings and thoughts have been kind of whirling around and keeping us in this state of doing and busyness. Okay, so in, out, relax, release, slow. 2, in, out, relax, release. When you pull the air in, pull it in from just above your genitals, from really low in your belly. Fill the cavity all the way up to your chest, and then release in opposite order without thinking about it too much. It's no big deal. Okay. Now, we've done this a few times. I want us at this point in time, I meaning you want this. You're talking through my mouth. This has nothing to do with any I that's separate from any other I. The I in my heart that's speaking to me in my ears right now. My name is, speaking to all names. I feel the presence of everybody that's in this meditation. I can feel you all. Meaning I, put name here, feel all the other parts of myself that have other names here. And now I feel my name. Now that my name is these 10 names that are now in this meditation together, or 20 names in this meditation right now. And it doesn't matter if you're doing this meditation later by yourself. There is no time. There is no place. It is here and now. And everybody that's ever meditated or never meditated is here and now. So this identification with the people here and now who are consciously involved in this meditation is expanding. Feel the expansion of my consciousness to include everybody involved in this meditation. Now, past, present, future, any meditation, we're all here. Now, at this point, I just want to give us the tool of the box. The cardboard box at our feet that says later. It has, someone's written on it in magic marker, big black magic marker. It says later on the box. And anytime I feel a distracting thought or feeling, something that's not in the direction and the expansion of this meditation, I take that thought and feeling ever so gently and respectfully, and I put it lovingly in the box for later. Not denying it, it will have its time and its place, but right now, into the box called later. Now, as adults, you have your box called later at your feet. Whenever any kind of distraction comes to you, to me, to I will put it in that box gently and return to the expansion of consciousness. I can actually see several faces that are different from the faces that are in my mirror. And those faces are here. And they are part of the definition of I. And I don't have to see those faces. I just know those energy. I can just feel the energy. Feel the expansion. If we start with inside the body, there's this feeling inside the skin. That's the energy of individuated life. Feel that energy. Feel it expanding beyond the body. Feel it expanding in circles and ripples, gently, outward and outward, including all the people in this meditation, all the people who have ever been in meditation. And that's millions and probably billions through time, and will be in meditation, in prayer. All those who've never and never will be in meditation or prayer in this incarnation. All of these beings, all of the animals, all of the trees and plants, all of the insects, all of the sea creatures, land creatures, air creatures, all of the creatures that live in other creatures, all of the creatures that live in our bodies, the trillions of cells in our bodies that are not us, that are other creatures, that are us, but that are not genetically us. All these beings, all the viruses. There's no enemy viruses, there's no enemy bacteria. There is no other. There is only this expanding. It expands, it includes all the rocks, all the air, all the water, the entire earth, the atmosphere. Let it be filled with light and consciousness. This is who I am. I am all of this and more. As the expansion of this self moves outwards, now the moon and all the space between us and the moon and all of the planets and all the space in there and the sun, this one star that we circle around, and then let it just keep moving out from this solar system. Let it encompass, include, and be all that ever was, that is, that ever will be. This expanding consciousness of I. I am all that is. I am all that is. I am all that ever was, all that ever will be, because there is no time. There is only this experience of unlimited being. Let it grow. Don't forget the box. If I get distracted, the distraction goes into the box. There's no box. There's just unlimited being. Unlimited being. And just like the universe, unlimited being creates more space, creates more being. It is never limited by what it is. It's always expanding. It's in terms of space, time, and the creation. God, the unlimited being, God, love, is eternal, unlimited creation. Ah, feel that. That's love. This is a state of love. There is no person to receive or give love. At this point right here, there is merely a consciousness of all-inclusive being. Stay here, now, and be. Unlimited, undifferentiated love. Completely impersonal, because there's no person left. There's only unlimited love. The consciousness of God, the eternal creator, creation, the unity of one. I thank this for what it is. I, being everything, thank myself. There is no individuated self. There is no self. There is no other. There only is. We am, I am, is. And now take this energy, take this consciousness, and slowly bring it back. Bring it back, shrinking it. Let the ever expanding being do its thing. It is its thing. But right now, there's no but, and right now, slowly in waves, in reverse ripples, bring the consciousness back to this galaxy, to this solar system. The moon, the earth. Let's leave it at the earth, just the earth. We are now limited. I am limited by the atmosphere of this earth and everything within the atmosphere, from the boiling, raging fire center through the crusts and the various layers to the thin layer of life and water and air. And now shrink that down, bring it ever closer to the individuated self, to my body. Bring the energy, feel the energy in an egg around my body. Maybe a meter, 3 feet around my body. That's who I am now. Now bring it back to the skin and the feeling of, feel the energy within your skin. Feel that. What is it inside the skin? What is it that keeps this from being a pile of dirt that other life is feeding on to create its life. There's an energy, there's a movement, there's something inside the skin that is life. Wow. That's who I am. Okay. The reason that we're defining ourselves there is not to lose. We'll get to that. Let's just be in the body. Feel that energy in the body. Now, be aware of the earth below our butt, below where we're sitting, or below our feet. Feel the connection, the roots go through the floor, whatever we're in. The roots of our being go into that earth and up into the sky. But the center of it is this body. We are in the body. We are embodied. That is our duty, responsibility, school. We are embodied for a reason. Breathe. Feel the air filling just this body. For now, this is the identification. I am this body. We're going to come back. I am this body. Gravity holds me to the earth. I am made up of mostly water, earth, air, fire, held together by akash, by ether. The canvas on which the painting is made is painted. The sound in which the space in which the sound is played. I am this body. Okay. Thank you. Can open our eyes. We're in the body now. The reason that we defined ourselves at the end of the meditation is in the body. Bring yourself into the body. If you need to pat yourself a bit, feel yourself. Ah, yeah. Okay. In the body, yeah. Here we are, in the body. So, to define ourselves as the unlimited being, which is Godhead, which is love, is how we define the essence of our being. However, we never lose sight, track of, contact with the fact that we are embodied, we are in the body. That is our fundamental experience here on earth. We are in university earth. Some of us are in primary school, some of us are in postgraduate, but we're all in school. As long as we know we are. We're either in school or we're in hell. It's either school or hell. You're going down or you're going up. If you're going up, you're in school. Be conscious of it. If you're going down, you're unconscious, and that's hell. That's hell. Okay, so we're moving up. We are in the body because we are in the body. So we don't lose identification, meaning recognition and connection with the body, because that is our duty on earth, is to be in this school, to do our duty, to elevate, raise ourselves to this unlimited consciousness, to be in a state of love so that we can bring the light of love, the heart of the diamond, light, love, truth, honesty, beauty, creativity, service, bring these things through us so we live joy and beauty, and so we serve and spread joy, beauty, and light. It only happens through the body. Everything happens through this filter in this experience. We just experienced life some time without the filter. Wonderful. That will help us bring that unlimited true love through. It's a real paradox. It's a complicated situation. It's like, being alive, being a human isn't for the faint of heart. It's a real challenge. It's a wonderful, wonderful, super difficult, extremely painful, extremely joyful. Okay. So the recognition and the embracing of being individuated and in the body, bringing this greater consciousness of unlimited self, which is, unlimited being. Love is unlimited being. We just experienced that. Was it personal? It was not personal. There was no person left to feel it. You come back and you say, wow, I really like that. But there was not very much I at the time. There was only is. Then we come back to the I, because there is an individuated I. And there's nothing wrong with that being Secondarily, primary. It's primary. It's primary first: food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security, and free time. Yes, first survival. After that, then we're talking about the broadening of consciousness. And then the I that has all these, that I identification is secondary. This individual, it's secondary, but it's absolutely real. And this is the job, to become this individuated in the body, here. Because if you're not here, you're not here. Then you're gone. What service are you? Where's your joy? Where's my joy? Where's my bringing joy and light to others if I'm not here? Either I'm absent, I'm just so spaced out, or I'm dead. Right? That's not the point. It'll happen soon enough. It'll happen soon enough. The mountain's just looking at us and can barely breathe, and there's 5 generations gone. The oak tree behind me is, in the back there's 250, 300 years old, I don't know. At least 200, maybe 350. Human life, pretty slow, pretty fast. Maybe 4 or 5 generations have passed by, 6 generations. It's just hanging. It's in the middle of its life. It's doing well. So it's going to happen soon enough. While we're here, we stay in the body and we do our duty, which is to learn to broaden our identification, to learn to be in a state of love. So we just did a meditation. This meditation doesn't need some other guy on the internet to be done. You are an adult, and you are responsible for your own spiritual maturation. Period. The end. No one will do it for you, and you need to do it, because otherwise you will not live a good life, and you will not be a proper citizen, father, mother, sister, brother, uncle, aunt, whatever it is, relationship. You will not be doing what you need to do on this earth. You have to sit and learn to be. And no one will do it for you. Guided meditation is wonderful. It's simply possibility and potential. Take this into your own hands. Are you tired of suffering? Do you want to sleep better, eat better, have better relationships? Do you want to live a better life? Do you want to bring light to earth? Then there's a million ways to do it, but it all involves this kind of work. It all involves the experience and the study and the learning to be, to identify with unlimited being, to become the state of love. So that's your homework. That's my homework. That's just homework. That's just what it is. It's not like a choice. It is a choice. Live a good life or live a miserable life. Be conscious, be unconscious. Growing towards joy, more peace, more stability, or less joy, less peace, less stability. Understanding and light, or confusion and just repetition, mechanicalness. I mean, the down path has its familiarity and its habit and its comfort. But it ain't working. And if you don't know, you're not being honest. And only one person suffers first from that. No matter what it is, first it happens here. It's called instant karma. Whatever happens here first. If I'm jealous, this is the first thing. If I'm angry, this is where the center of it is. If I'm unconscious, this is the center. If I'm lying to myself and suffering and the victim of all of these crazy submerged and hidden habits and patterns that are because I've not done and don't want to go into the difficulty, the initial difficulty, and the challenge, the continued challenge of consciousness, of learning to be, I'm the one that suffers, whether I know it or not. And we're all in a state of, especially people that have so much material wealth in this world, and there are many people that don't, but those that have tremendous material wealth, we are suffering phenomenally from nothing. Just from internal laziness, comfort, habit, and fear of going into that which will heal us. So this is our homework. We just had a tool, there's a million tools. Finally, the state of unlimited being is who I am. I am only love. And the I is the I that's your heart speaking through this mouth, speaking through that mouth, speaking from this heart. It doesn't matter. I am confused because I am not in contact with the fact that I am love. I'm not aware of it, and I'm not living from that. I'm living from the fear of absolute limitation. And we've just done some work, had some thinking, some talk, and a little bit of practice into the experience of unlimited being, of love, of God. And now it's my tool. Now it's up to me. I have the apple. I bite it. My eyes open. And I go up. Or I go down. But I must choose. The fact that we're here together means we've already chosen. We've already chosen. Beautiful family. Every Sunday and every Wednesday at 9 o'clock, we're here doing this. Ideas, post them on the True Diamond Heart page if you want certain things to be covered. Feedback, you want more music, you want more meditation, whatever it is that we need to do. We're a community. There's simply different cells. All of us are different cells. Each cell expresses. So, thank you. And I'll see you on Sunday, 9 o'clock.